So we've talked about symbolism, guys. And in symbolism, everything carries a meaning. Right? It has a deeper meaning. We've also talked about history and how history shapes our view of the world as a culture, right? As Americans. And so there's symbolism and history playing out with the 9/11 attacks. Because in less than 2 hours, 19 terrorists hijacked 4 planes and killed around 3,000 Americans. Right? All innocent people. Right? And they also destroyed some national landmarks. These terrorists were members of Al-Qaeda. And, Al-Qaeda hates the West and everything they stand for. So in particular, they hate the United States. Okay? Why would Al-Qaeda have picked these targets? Okay? And they picked them for their symbolism. So World Trade Centers, Pentagon, either U.S. Capitol building or the White House. So what would be the symbolism, the meaning behind any of those targets? Marjorie?
They kind of like represented the U.S.
Yeah, they represent the U.S. government, the U.S. as a nation. Okay. What would the World Trade Centers represent? Nelson?
Like trading with other countries?
Yeah, our economics. Okay. So trade, economics, the U.S. economic dominance. Okay. What would the Pentagon represent? Audrey?
Like our military and like sort of our freedom, because the military kind of fights for that.
Yeah, definitely. Our freedom, our military there. What would the U.S. Capitol building represent? Brandon?
Like the capital of the country?
Yeah, it's our seat of government. Okay. It's where Congress meets. And what would be the importance of the White House? Moody?
Where the president lives?
Yeah, so another important symbol of our government there, where the president lives. Okay. And so they specifically targeted these sites as symbols of America, as symbols of the U.S. Okay. And so there's the symbolism behind it. Also the history. It's shaped how we view the world. Nothing's been quite the same since 9/11. One of the major areas you see that is in security. Okay. How many people have flown in an airplane? Jeepers. Smallest ratio we've had so far this class. Okay, some of the other ones, you might know some of the security too. Right? So what's some of the security before you get on an airplane? Sydney.
You have to take all your shoes off and put them in a bucket and go through this little scan thing.
Yeah, so the little conveyor belt that carries your stuff, it x-rays it. So like your shoes, your check bag, anything you carry on the plane, you have to have checked. Right? Sunshine?
You have to go through that metal detector thing.
Yeah, so the metal detector, checks and sees if you have any weapons on you. Now they have screeners that kind of work like x-ray, like they can see in your clothes and see if you're wearing any weapons or anything. Right? Personal account, when we went to Germany a few years ago, you're supposed to take everything out of your pockets. Well, I thought it'd be okay if I left my passport in my pocket. No, because the machine went off on me. Okay. And then the security guy came over and re-frisked me. And then they checked my fingers for powder or explosive residue. Okay. So, I almost didn't get to get on the plane if, I would have gone trap shooting or something the day before. Okay. Any other security measures? Anything else they do? What about your baggage, your big luggage bags? Marjorie?
Don't you have to put in this one thing it sees through your bag so it can see if you have any weapons on it?
Yep, so they check all your baggage, everything that goes on the plane. Okay. Nelson?
It's like on a conveyor belt, you put like on a conveyor belt and then takes it out into this, it takes it onto the plane, so like it can get loaded.
And you don't have access to that once you get on the plane? Yep. Is there anything you can't take on the plane? Moody?
Knives?
Yeah, no knives. Olivia?
Any purple weapons or like guns or knives or anything?
Yeah, so a lot of things we can use as weapons, like even scissors and stuff. What about like toothpaste and all that type of stuff? Is there any restrictions on that? Anybody know? Sydney?
Don't you have to have it in a bag?
Sometimes. And can you take as much as you want?
No.
No, so I think it's about 3 or 4 ounces of liquids or pastes, because those could be explosive components that you have hidden, and so you can't take a lot of that on. So there's a lot of stuff that's restricted that you can't take on the plane. Sunshine?
No smoking, like cigarettes.
Yep, no smoking. I'll tie it in there. Okay. Also, they do extra screenings. So, every once in a while they do a random screening, and they'll take you into a back room and do extra checks on you and ask you questions and stuff. Someone in our group, last time we went to Germany, had that happen. I'm not sure if it was Mr. Hookham or if he went in with somebody because he was a teacher and wanted to supervise him. But it might have been Mr. Hookham got random checked by the TSA. Okay. So the TSA, that Transportation and Safety Administration, they do all these baggage checks and airport security. Definitely a lot more strict than it used to be.
Are you allowed to bring like boxes of crayons?
I don't know. That's a good question, because it could be like hiding C4. I don't know, Millard.
And can you bring silverware like spoons and forks?
Probably not, because it's made out of metal, and you'd have to look into the restrictions there.
That would suck having no silverware.
Well, I mean, you're on a plane, so if you need it, they'll provide it. Dry?
Can you bring your phones?
Yep. You're supposed to shut it off, though, because of the possible interference with the communications and whatnot. Okay. Brandon?
You used to be able to bring like a pop gun if you wanted on the plane.
Used to.
Yeah.
Used to. Okay.
Now you can't.
So security measures have definitely been beefed up. Okay. Another thing that comes out of this is DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, where it's kind of like an umbrella organization that combines the CIA, FBI, NSA, all those security administrations under one roof. Okay. And also the Patriot Act, which the Patriot Act had a lot of laws to prevent, detect, and take action against terrorism. But people also believe that restricted a lot of your rights as U.S. citizens, things that are guaranteed to you in the Bill of Rights. But we went to those extremes because we believe that could protect us against terrorism. Things like wiretapping and listening into your conversations on your cell phones and stuff. Okay, that came out of the Patriot Act. Okay. No fly lists. Some people weren't allowed on planes. So a lot more security comes out of this. So here, guys, is an image of the World Trade Center towers, this New York skyline before the attacks. And now here is a picture of Ground Zero after the attack. Okay. So this is zoomed in to give you guys an idea of perspective with how much damage there is. If you see that small dot that's kind of in the center, lower middle, okay, that's a firefighter. So that is what it looked like at ground level after those towers collapsed. There's complete destruction. Okay. And so this has done a lot for America in terms of how we view the world. Okay. And what happens after 9/11, our interactions with the rest of the world. Okay. And so here, guys, I want to show you President Bush's Ground Zero speech. President Bush toured the World Trade Center site 3 days after the attacks, so on September 14th, 2001. And he hadn't been planning on giving a speech or saying anything. But as he was talking to some rescue workers, they wanted him to say something. And so the message that comes out of this short, impromptu speech really sums up our policies and how this shaped our view of the world for, probably even still today. Okay. So be looking for the message that is sent by President Bush as he's giving this little speech.
This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon. The nation sends its love and compassion. God bless America! Everybody who is here. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for making the nation proud. And may God bless America.
So in President Bush's Ground Zero speech here, someone calls out that they can't hear him. How does President Bush respond? Jordan?
He said, I can hear you.
Yeah, he says, I can hear you. The whole world can hear you. And the people who knock down these buildings will hear from all of us soon. What message is he sending? Were you going to answer, Milan? Good. Marcus?
That the terrorists are going to pay.
Yeah, he is saying that we are going to hunt down these terrorists and we are going to make them pay. And that is what the United States did shortly after 9/11. By the end of the year in 2001, we had combat troops in Afghanistan. And we were there for more than 10 years. And then we get into Iraq in 2003. So we get into several wars as a result of 9/11 and terrorism, and we are still dealing with terrorism today.